State of Tennessee laws going into effect July 1st, 2025. Tennessee, children can no longer use cell phone during school hours. Next up, schools and teachers can be sued using a child's preferred pronouns or names without parent consent. Tennessee, did you know that Tennessee has an Education Freedom Act where they will give you $7,000 to use so your child can go to a private school? Well, now you know. Child abuse now in Tennessee done on children between the ages of 9 and 17 is now a felony. Teenagers, if you cyberbully, your license will be suspended for 1 year. Dismantling DIE. Now all state agencies in the state of Tennessee has to dismantle anything relatively close to DEI. If you didn't know, sober people were being arrested in the state of Tennessee. Now police officers have to keep a record of how many sober people they arrest. Tennessee, the blood alcohol level has been lowered. It was once 0.20, now it is 0.15. Y'all just drink at home. If your driver's license has been suspended in the state of Tennessee because you have 8 points, Tennessee has now lowered this to 4 points so people can get their license back easier. Like and share this video and I'll make a part 2.
So starting July 1st, giving your coworkers a ride could literally make you a felon in Tennessee. Yep, that's where we're at now. Tennessee's SB 0392 makes it a felony to hide, transport, or even encourage people who are in the state illegally to stay. Now, it's technically positioned as an anti-trafficking bill, but when you read closely, you see that anyone who hides or transports at least 10 adults or 5 minors for financial or commercial gain would be committing the act of human smuggling. But here's a really scary part. It would also become a Class A misdemeanor to harbor or hide people who are in the state illegally. So this means that giving a group of coworkers a ride, running an errand for an undocumented neighbor so that they don't have to encounter you-know-who, or even knowingly renting to an undocumented family could make you a criminal. The law also allows the state's attorney general to act against organizations they believe are violating human trafficking laws, up to and including revoking certifications and business licenses. And this is including nonprofits too. Now, the craziest part to me is that they're not just targeting immigration anymore, they're actually targeting our systems of community and support. All of this seems to be designed to make us afraid of helping each other. And if you don't believe me, look at this image that was shared on X by DHS earlier this month. At this point, things are getting really scary. And even if you don't live in Tennessee, things that are happening in the South, things that are happening in California are actually the blueprint for what's gonna happen in the rest of the country. If you live in Tennessee, please call your elected representatives. And if you have the means to, I really encourage you to donate to Tennessee Immigrants and Refugee Rights Coalition. They're actually one of the organizations that's currently fighting to get this bill repealed. Sharing information is more important now than ever because they are actively trying to keep us from working together and being informed. Stay safe out here.
Breaking immigration news, a bill that would make it a crime for undocumented immigrants to set foot in the state of Tennessee has advanced in a Tennessee House committee. If passed, this law would require judges to issue a 72-hour notice to undocumented immigrants charged under this law, ordering them to leave the state of Tennessee. The bill classifies the first offense as a misdemeanor. It would rise to a felony if charged a second time or subsequent time. The bill is called Senate Bill 1087 and it is sponsored by Republican legislators. Now, it is very important to note that this is a trigger law, meaning it would only go into effect under certain circumstances, such as if the Supreme Court overturns a previous decision or if other states enact similar laws. What do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments. Share this video so anyone who isn't documented in the state of Tennessee knows about this, and make sure you're following me on all platforms so I can continue to keep you guys updated on this.
That's right, Mark. State Representative Jason Zachary says he drafted this legislation in part as a way to support Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy's goal of making America healthy again. Zachary says the intended purpose of SNAP benefits is to improve food security and nutrition, and believes not allowing the use of these funds toward candy and soft drinks helps in achieving that. This bill requires the Department of Human Services to put in a request for a federal waiver to the U.S. Department of Agriculture for approval to make this a reality. The eligibility for folks to receive SNAP benefits would not change. This just puts purchase restrictions in place for candy and sodas.
Products manufactured and distributed by our local bottling companies include soft drinks, bottled water, seltzers, juice drinks, sports drinks, coffees, teas, and other beverages. We are proud to be part of the fabric of this great state. The Beverage Association of Tennessee strongly opposes House Bill 1236 as it clearly discriminates against our products.
Saying, of course, anyone can do anything with their private dollars. But when you take government assistance or part of government programs, we get to set the rules. And we're going to make the decision in Tennessee that we're going to align public policy with public health.
If passed, these changes would take place on July 1st.
This shit really pisses me off. The state of Tennessee just passed a law to allow healthcare providers to discriminate if it goes against their religious beliefs. I don't understand why you would go into the healthcare field if you're not going to uphold the oath that you took to do no harm. It doesn't say do no harm unless it goes against your religious beliefs, because medicine has nothing to do with religion. It's about treating a disease process. I mean, can you imagine in Tennessee if an ambulance rolls up to a scene and there's someone bleeding out on the sidewalk, but they're wearing a pride flag on their shirt, and they tap the side of the bus and say, no, keep going, we're not going to stop. Or an interracial couple comes into an office and the nurse at the intake desk says, no, we don't treat that here. Or a gay couple or a pregnant person comes in with an ovarian torsion because of an ectopic pregnancy. The list goes on. It's just disgusting. And people say, oh, doctors don't belong in politics. My oath that I took compels me to speak up against these terrible Republican policies because they hurt my patients and patients all across the country. And I am never going to stop speaking up.
So Tennessee Republicans just passed a bill that would make it illegal for elected officials to vote against Donald Trump's immigration policies. You heard that right. Tennessee Republicans want to make it illegal for elected officials to vote a certain way. And this was just passed in the state's Republican-led Senate. Can you imagine the riots if Democrats had tried to make it illegal for Republican leaders to vote against Biden? Like, this is insane. This is straight up totalitarian. America is becoming a totalitarian state.
Tennessee's new law defines human smuggling as transporting, concealing, harboring, or shielding anyone living in the country illegally. It is now facing a legal challenge. When I spoke with lawmakers in May, they said it was one of their most important pieces of legislation, but they said it mainly targets those seeking profit.
No matter how misguided that mission is, if they're helping illegal immigrants, as long as they're not doing it for commercial advantage or doing it for personal financial gain, then they won't be in violation of this law.
The term harboring in the bill is described as providing shelter or concealing someone without legal status. A lawsuit filed in federal court by organizations like the Tennessee Immigrants and Refugee Rights Coalition says this law could criminalize providing shelter to undocumented people.
It is very poorly and broadly written where, in theory, families and certain entities could run the risk of being attacked by the powers given to the Tennessee court system and local law enforcement.
The Evangelical Lutheran Church, a landlord, and a Tennessee resident who lives with a son-in-law seeking asylum are behind the legal challenge. Questions have been raised about the implications for landlords renting to undocumented immigrants or churches receiving funding while providing shelter to those without legal status. They worry the law could penalize churches, landlords, or families sharing their homes and lead to felony charges. This law gives the Attorney General power to take actions against individuals or organizations believed to be involved in these activities. It is scheduled to take effect July 1st unless the courts step in. Reporting at the 5 Alert Desk, I'm Patsy Montesinos, News Channel 5.
I should have to text my parents for the last time saying I'm scared. This is a school shooter. It shouldn't have to be my teacher.
State legislators in Tennessee passed a bill that will allow teachers and school staff in the state to be armed.
Senate Bill 1325 having received a Constitutional majority.
The bill would authorize faculty or staff to carry a concealed handgun, subject to a number of conditions, including obtaining an enhanced handgun carry permit and completing annual training. After the vote, protesters chanted on the House floor. Bill co-sponsor Republican State Senator Paul Bailey says the bill just gives teachers the option to carry.
There's been a lot of misinformation about this legislation. This bill does not require any teacher in this state to carry a gun while working.
The bill now heads to the desk of Republican Governor Bill Lee. If he does not veto it, the bill becomes law with or without his signature. CNN has reached out to Lee's office for comment.
Is rename this bill the White Fragility Act. I do not understand why 3 words that have been positive words, positive concepts for 60 of my 62 years, everyone on this floor would have thought diversity, equity, and inclusion were positive words and positive concepts. Why are you all so afraid of making sure that every person of every race, of every religion, the disabled, women, veterans, why are you doing everything you can to complicate the relationships in the workplace? Every company in this country that has strong DEI policies, they are thriving. They have a healthy workplace, they have happy employees, they spend less time training employees because everyone feels respected. They actually take time to make sure that everyone feels respected. I don't know what your problem is with people being treated like actual human beings on the job. I think you should do some introspection and find out why it is you want to make sure some people don't feel comfortable on the job. It's hurting black and brown folks and other races for sure, but it's also hurting women and the disabled and veterans. Are you all so terrified of people that don't look like you and believe like you?
Hey players, so this is your friendly reminder on why you should vote on your state and local level. And today's example comes from the backwoods of Tennessee. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. I'm actually not surprised to see Tennessee be the example of why you should vote on your state and local level so you don't have government officials doing stupid ass shit. I'm not surprised to see this because as of late, they have been really attacking LGBTQIA plus rights and also attacking free speech. This new thing that they just did that I'm going to explain in a minute comes just days after they signed 2 new laws, one banning drag performances in public and another banning gender affirming care for minors. So now the Tennessee State House is taking it a bit further, honey, because they have passed a bill to completely gut marriage equality. The Tennessee House of Representatives has passed a bill that would allow people to refuse to perform marriages if they disagree with it. According to the bill, a person shall not be required to solemnize a marriage if the person has an objection to the solemnizing the marriage based on the person's conscience or religious beliefs. The bill, which now moves to the state Senate, is the latest in an onslaught of measures that the Tennessee legislature has passed attacking LGBTQIA plus rights. This bill could also apply to couples where at least one person is transgender or a mixed race couple. According to critics, this bill could go beyond that and empower county clerks to refuse to certify marriage licenses, meaning that the LGBTQIA plus community as well as interracial couples could be unable to get married at all rather than just needing to find a new officiant for their ceremony. Of course, we know that President Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act in December, which is supposed to protect marriages. However, the Tennessee bill exploits a major loophole in the law. Critics had warned that the Respect for Marriage Act did not go far enough. The bill had been amended during the debate process to say that religious organizations did not have to perform same-sex marriages. The Tennessee Human Rights Campaign had a lot to say about this. They said instead of focusing on the issues that Tennesseans actually care about, radical politicians are wasting their time and using their power to target the LGBTQIA plus community. These bills are not protecting children, and they are not about religious freedom. They're stripping away the basic human rights that LGBTQIA plus people have fought for decades. I declare, honey, it is ridiculous and a hot boo-boo shitty mess. But what did we expect from the GQP? And Tennessee is definitely a Republican-led state. You have to vote on your state and local levels, and you have to do your research on the candidates to make sure you pick the correct one and support the correct one. Players, put your thoughts in the comments about this new bill. This is Double D Mo for the Black Red News.
How can you even speak about Trump as a president when your own country in Nigeria is whack? And what I'm not understanding is you had to migrate just to live and have some money and have a decent economy. You had to migrate all the way to America, and now you're saying Switzerland, but then you want to talk about my president. Don't talk about my president. Worry about yourself. I hope you helping your people back home. I hope you didn't just leave them high and dry because Nigeria's doing real bad. You could never speak on my president. You can't. That's the problem with these foreigners. We come here and y'all hear the fake news, and then the first thing y'all want to do is insult Americans as if we listen. We don't listen. We Americans love our president. Maybe y'all don't see that. Maybe y'all don't like it, but who gives a damn? He ain't y'all president. He's not president. And then you said you're an American. If you don't like America that much, you in Switzerland. Stay in Switzerland. Stay in Switzerland.
Back your mask on now.
You know what?
I said pull back your mask on.
We leaving. Let's pull us over. We leaving. Where the thing at?
Topping your news leader.
They have passed two Tennessee bills.
Debate on defending
they allow them to use deadly force to protect their property. Now, people, y'all better be mindful, very mindful about going into these people establishments, acting the fool, doing things you know you have no business doing at all. Y'all better quit it. They done passed those two laws in Tennessee.
856 was authored by District 71's representative, Kip Capley.
We had a situation in East Tennessee where there was a lot of looting after the hurricane, and we're trying to also, in addition to that, to strengthen some self-defense laws that we have.
Pay attention.
To offer a clear protection against theft and destruction.
They constantly passing these laws.
And, to put more safeguards to prevent really an excessive use of deadly force going forward.
This bill sets out required content in Tennessee and family life curriculum, and briefly stated, the success sequence is accomplishing the following milestones in the following order. Obtain a high school diploma or its equivalency. Enter the workforce, a technical school or post-secondary school. Get married, then have children. Some children are not privileged to recognize that or live within that, and so in these classes, these children will be given this key to success.
This is a step too far, because I graduated from high school, obtained my degree, entered the workforce, did not complete the last two steps, marriage or children, and I still think that I'm a success. So I don't understand why it is important to incorporate this level of indoctrination into our schools.
Teaching a curriculum that you are less than if you are a single parent. A curriculum that's telling me I'm less than many of you because I chose to be a single parent. That doesn't make my mother less than because she raised a current sitting senator when she became a single parent. It is not our job in public schools to be dictating or be forcing kids to say, if you're married, you're less than. Leave that to the church. Leave that to the household. Leave that to private entities and organizations. But in the public school, we need to be making all kids, regardless of what their family situation, feel valued, educated, and supported. That is our job. And give them the tools and resources to get good grades, to go out to college, to go to technical school, to choose the path they want in life. But if you are not married, does not mean that you are less than anybody else. think this bill is misguided. It's very offensive, and I'm living proof that this bill has no merit.
Ayes 45, 5 nays.
Clear. The law says that if you are convicted of domestic assault, child abuse, child neglect, endangerment, aggravated child abuse, aggravated child neglect, cruelty to animals, or aggravated cruelty to animals, all of those people, all of you that are charged and convicted of those crimes have to undergo a mental health assessment, okay? Because if you are hurting people that cannot fend for themselves, or you are hurting animals, there's probably a scenario where you need to be evaluated to make sure that you're not going to do it again, and you're not going to be a danger.
Someone told you that Tennessee just passed a law that made it a felony for elected officials to vote against something that Trump wants. Would you look that up? I did, because I thought that's a pretty wild thing to hear. Even today, it turns out that's not what the law is. Yeah, it's a bad law, but it is not saying that it's illegal to go against the will of the president. It is specifically about sanctuary cities. If you're an elected official that votes in favor of adopting sanctuary city policies, you're hit with a Class E felony. It's a bad law. I'm sure it's unconstitutional. But that is very different than saying if an elected official votes against something that Trump wants, they get hit with a felony. This is why we can't agree on things. This is why we look like idiots, because people say the most outlandish, wildest things that are not true just to get views. And listen, I get it. We are primed to expect the worst. I am right there with you. We've seen a lot of really bad stuff happening already. It's been a very long couple of weeks, but this is a clear escalation, and maybe someday we'll be there. But right now, saying that it's illegal to go against the will of the president is an escalation. And if you want to keep any semblance of mental health while keeping up to date with like what is actually happening and not burning out, if you hear something that is an escalation, that should be a #1 red flag to just Google it really quick.
The highest court just upheld the ban on birthright citizenship for the President of the United States. In other words, he can still do it. So I don't get it. The 14th Amendment of the United States of America says that anybody who is born in the United States, it's a citizen. But now, I don't really think this is all about immigration. I don't know. This is, I think there's a deeper meaning to all of this. I think Americans should really take heed of all the things that are going on right now. This is not just about immigration, guys. I mean, if you're about to change your constitution, things are not going to go well for the country because you're going to start changing all kinds of things. So just watch out, guys. I mean, be careful.
About another great decision that came down today, the Trans Books case, which restores parents' rights to decide their child's education. Seems like a basic idea, but it took the Supreme Court to set the record straight, and we thank them for that. And now that ruling allows parents to opt out of dangerous trans ideology and make the decisions for their children that they believe is correct. And so we thank the Supreme Court for that.
April 14, 2025, in Tennessee, the House has passed Bill HB 1376, which will ban the sales of THCA. Now, many shop owners are up in arms because they fear without the sale of THCA, their shops will be highly affected. Some may even have to close down. Now, do you think that Tennessee is moving in the right way? After the House, it goes to the Senate for a yay or a nay. And after the Senate, it's on to the governor for it to be signed into law. Again, do you think it's right for them to take away the rights of adults? This is crazy, because you know if one state catches on, then the rest, it's only a matter of time. We shall see.
Tennessee State Senate just passed Bill 955, telling us where to pay attention next. Now, this bill allows for medical professionals to deny treatments based on their personal beliefs. So if you need a treatment that they don't personally agree with, they can tell you no. Now, to be fair, this does not apply to emergency ER treatments or active labor. However, they do give us an example of exactly what they're targeting by using this paragraph where they use an extreme that is a deflection, and then they indicate to you what the actual goal is. So in in this paragraph, they mention state-assisted suicides. A doctor doesn't have to participate in that. And then they mention a pharmacist not having to fill a prescription for birth control. Well, let me tell you why that first part's a deflection. Because according to Tennessee state criminal codes, assisted suicide is a Class D felony. There's no doctor being asked or forced to do that. So all they do with that statement is indicate we want to make sure that doctors and pharmacists can deny reproductive care to women if they believe in it. This follows the recent bill also passed by Tennessee where clerks can deny marriage licenses and refuse to solemnize a marriage that they don't agree with, including interracial, same-sex, and interfaith marriages. This all falls in line with what Project 2025 has in mind, and it falls in line with replacing the white-only birth rate.
In court. Those are the words from the ACLU of Tennessee to state lawmakers who passed an immigration bill that makes it a felony for local elected officials to even vote on sanctuary cities. 7 Metro lawmakers filed a lawsuit. News Channel 5's Kelsey Gibbs spoke to one of those elected officials who says this bill is not just wrong, it's dangerous.
So we hear firsthand what people need and what they're going through. And
Delicia Porterfield is a Metro Council member. She says she ran for office to give people a voice.
Free speech allows us to represent our community's needs as accurately as possible.
Porterfield says a new law puts her work and her words in danger.
If we could be looking at 1 to 6 years in imprisonment.
During the special session, lawmakers passed an immigration enforcement bill. It creates a Tennessee border czar who would coordinate with the Trump administration and would give out grants to encourage local law enforcement to do the same.
We are going to fully cooperate with the federal government in removing illegal immigrants from this country.
But the law also creates a new Class E felony for any official who votes in support of alleged sanctuary policies. It's punishable to up to 6 years of jail time and a $3,000 fine.
Voting to establish a sanctuary city is just that. We're not going to have that here in the state of Tennessee.
Tennessee doesn't allow for sanctuary cities to begin with, but this law would further punish lawmakers who try.
As an elected official, I have a First Amendment right to debate, deliberate, and vote on issues that are important to my constituents without the government telling me what my viewpoint should be when I get ready to take my vote.
ACLU of Tennessee, along with 7 council members, including Porterfield, filed a lawsuit Tuesday saying the law violates the First Amendment rights of locally elected officials voting in favor of policies supporting immigrants.
So I joined this lawsuit to protect not only my constitutional rights, but my ability to represent the needs and the interests of my constituents.
Porterfield says the law is vague and unconstitutional.
This is an unprecedented effort to criminalize legislative speech, debate, and deliberation, and an example of state overreach and abuse of power.
Kelsey's with us now. Kelsey, the legal director at the ACLU-TN, said he had no choice to file this lawsuit, saying democracy's on the line. Despite this, though, we knew Metro Council members, a few of them, were ready to sue anyway once this bill passed, right?
Yeah, it was back in January when the Immigrant Caucus mentioned that they were going to see them in court. But today, Representative and the sponsor of the bill, William Lambert, he posted on X this evening, and it reads, the ultra-liberals on the Metro Council are so obsessed with illegal immigrants, they are suing for the ability to vote for sanctuary city policies like other liberal states allow. We do not allow and never will allow sanctuary cities in this great state.
It's going to be up to a judge, boils down to legal overreach or not. Wait to see. Kelsey, thanks.